Hey guys, Carl from Purple Place. Today I'm taking a look at CoraQuest from designers Cora and Dan Hughes and publisher Bright Eye Games. This is a sort of family-weight dungeon crawler game designed by a father and his young daughter during COVID lockdown as sort of part of their homeschooling activities. When it was thrown up on crowdfunding, all of the sort of artwork for this game was designed by kids, designed to be sort of a dungeon crawl adventure narrative kind of game that families with young children could play together. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game for this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion of this game in this video. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a game of CoraQuest, begin by selecting the scenario that you will play for that playthrough. For this video, I will be playing the scenario Cat of Two Heads. This is one that I haven't played yet, so I want to sort of enjoy myself as I'm showing it off to you. But the important thing here is we're going to find these four-letter sort of dungeon tile cards, H-E-L-I, from our deck of cards. And you'll see that each of those cards has a little letter down here in the bottom corner. And so for this particular scenario, we will be using these four story cards, H-E-L and I. And I'll set those here for now, H-E-L-I. And then I'm going to take the normal dungeon cards, which are marked instead of with letters with numbers like this one. This is my starting tile, and unless the scenario says differently, which it doesn't this time, I will be starting with that card. So I'm going to set that right there at the bottom of the dungeon. And then you'll see the remaining cards go from 2 all the way up to 17. But because we are playing a standard mode game and not the advanced game, not the long game, 14 through 17 will go back into the box. 2 through 13 will get shuffled. And then evenly divided into 4 piles, matching the stories. So 1, 2, 3, 4 piles, all evenly distributed amongst them, which is going to be 3 cards per pile. And then I'll take that card matching that pile, or the sort of story letter card for each pile. Remembering H-E-L-I was the order. So we're going to take each of these stacks, give them a shuffle, and from top to bottom, they will maintain that order of H-E-L-I. So there's the I, the L like this, and I will finish the other 2. And there is our deck of dungeon tiles for the game. And I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to spread out on the screen. So I'm going to keep sort of all of my goodies stuff off that side, and we'll sort of build up here. I'll put my heroes over here, and that way we've got space for the dungeon to grow out. Next, the other immediately important piece of information from the book is that for this scenario, we need orcs, goblins, gremlins, and spiders. And then we also need to find the boss card, Remy Luna. So again, here we have orcs, goblins, gremlins, spiders, and Remy Luna. And you'll see also on the other side, there is a tough version of them if you want to increase the difficulty. But for this playthrough, I'll be playing standard difficulty. So I'm just going to stick that pile up here, and I'll pull them down and use them as needed as I get into play. And then the other thing I am going to place over to the side of the screen is first this sort of time tracker, and you'll see this gets used for several different things. One of which is going to sort of be a pressure kind of clock that pushes on us that every time this, it should be on this side for the normal game, not for the long game. Every time this sort of ticks down, if the timer comes off of this track, and you'll see how that works as I explain it, we're going to spawn spiders. It's sort of going to push us to try to move a little bit faster. So I'm going to set that right there. And also, there are these nice handy player guides or player aids that explain the hero phase on one side and the enemy phase and the countdown phase on the other. I'll use this in just a minute to explain how the game works, just setting that right there for right now. And then from the box, there are 3 other sets of cards. These are all starting item cards, which I'll use in just a second. And then treasures and special items. So I'm going to set the special items there. They don't need to be shuffled because, well, they don't change. And then I'm going to shuffle up the treasure cards. placing those out on the board, or on the screen, sorry, let's turn them around so they're right side up. And then off the side of the screen, I will place these treasure tokens that I'll pull in as we need them. Next, we gotta set up our own heroes. And every game of CoraQuest requires that you play with 4 heroes. So in this case, there are a variety of different heroes to play with. There's the dwarf, spearwoman, crossbow dude, halfling, wizard woman, robo kettle, sword girl, and healer cat. And they all have different powers. I'm not going to go through all of them. I will pick 4 characters. I'm going to show you the 4 characters I'm playing. I'll explain the powers of those 4 characters. I'll bring in the other 4 characters and explain the powers at the end when I talk about components. So if you want to see those, definitely check out the components section at the end of the video. So then for this playthrough, I will be playing with the dwarf, the crossbow dude, the halfling, and the wizard woman, like that. And again, I'll move things around on screen. I'm not quite sure yet what the best way to do all of this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna turn this sideways here like that. That way I can just place all of my characters down here across the bottom, like that, and with a little space in between for some items. Set that off somewhere. That actually may stay off the screen. Let's just do it that way. And if I need to move things around later, I can do. That way we've got all of this space for me to sort of grow out my dungeon, which will work well, I hope. And then for each of my characters, we're going to do 2 things. First, in a minute, I'm going to get a health dial and set the health dial equal to the health shown here in the heart. That is their maximum health. This will show me how far they can move on their turn. And then this red die plus whatever die it shows on their weapon will be the dice that they roll for any combat. This is their special ability, which I'll explain in just a minute, but then also it says under their name what their starting item is. So crossbow dude will start with the crossbow. The dwarf starts with the axe, the halfling with a catapult, and wizard woman with a wand. So let me go and find those. So again, wizard woman gets her wand, the halfling gets catapult, the dwarf gets his axe, and the crossbow dude gets a crossbow, as you'd expect. And let me show you, to start with, every weapon that we start with will always be a white die. So at the start of the game, we're all rolling 1 red and 1 white to attack. And then this here shows me the range of the weapon. So the crossbow has a range of 7 spaces. The axe just 1 means adjacent only. The catapult has a range of 4, and the wizard's wand also has, no, not also, has a range of 3. So then for each hero, we will take one of these health dials, setting it to their max health. So for the wizard woman, we're setting it to 8. For the halfling, we're setting to 6. For the dwarf, he goes up to 10. And finally, crossbow dude starts with a health of 8 as well. And then for each character, we're going to take a standee for that character, as well as these markers are going to be used to mark when special abilities are used. So I'm going to set those over down here by the special abilities, and we'll move them around if need be. And then these I'm going to put on standees, and in a minute, each of those will get placed on one of these 6 starting spaces in the starting, 7 starting spaces in the starting area. And I know that it's going to be a little bit hard to see things on screen. I hope you can kind of see some colors from that angle, but the standees are a little bit too big for me to lay down. So I'm going to keep them, and I'll just do my best to explain who's who and what's going on with each turn. I have set them up here with the dwarf and the halfling in front. Now the halfling is ranged, but the halfling also has an ability, which I'll explain more in a minute. He can choose once to ignore damage from an attack, so they're not too bad to have in the front. Then the crossbow dude here and the wizard woman in the back. Then finally, to finish, set up all of the standees for the enemies I've got placed off to the side of the screen, as well as my set of red and white dice. These damage tokens, and then these special tokens in case we need them for the scenario. These are double-sided poison and quest marker. And last, we need to put out these 2 tokens here. This is going to sort of be a threat marker that starts here on level 2 on our timer track. And this torch is going to be placed on our stack of dungeon cards. I'll explain what that does in just a second as we get into gameplay, but with that, we are all set up for play. So the very last thing I need to do before we get into gameplay is to read our story. So we start, Cat of 2 Heads. It says, it's a pleasant day in Huddersfield, barely even drizzling, and you've decided to take advantage of this perfect opportunity to enjoy the outdoors. As your walk takes you nearer to Hood's dungeon, you hear an awful wailing noise. Ghosts? You wonder aloud. Not one to back down from a challenge, even a spooky one. You rush to the entrance of the dungeon where you spot the gnomes, Annabelle and Kevin. As you get closer to realize the source of the unearthly howling isn't coming from any ghost. Oh no, it's Kevin, sitting on the ground and crying the largest, weepiest tears you've ever seen. Oh, am I glad to see you, Annabelle shouts as you approach. Kevin has lost his cats, Remy and Luna. They're stuck in the dungeon. Can you help us get them out? How'd that happen, you ask? Kevin takes a deep breath and manages to squeak out between sobs. I wanted to feel like a fancy person and ride them like horses, so I tried to do a spell to make them bigger, but... Kevin's chin wavers, fresh tears spilling from his eyes. Oh, they got bigger all right, Annabelle continues. Except the magic went a tiny bit wrong, and instead of 2 horse-sized cats, they became one giant 2-headed cat. Now they're too big to get through the dungeon entrance, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Kevin collapses again and sobs. Not one to back down from a challenge, even a giant hairball-sized one. You promise the gnomes that you will find the 2-headed Remy Luna and make everything right again. And with that, you leave the crying Kevin behind as you enter Hood's dungeon. So looking at the top sort of explanation area of the scenario, it says that we win if the heroes turn one 2-headed cat back into 2 1-headed cats. And if any of the heroes are defeated, we will instantly lose. There's apparently some set of special information here that says a lucky feather special item card can only be used once during the adventure, but it shouldn't be discarded. Keep it safe instead. It may come in handy. So that's something we need to know going in. Otherwise, everything else we're going to find out will be sort of explained to us through the story as we get into play. So a game of CoraQuest is going to play out over an indeterminate number of rounds until either we manage to win the game by fulfilling the goal, in this case splitting the 2-headed cat back into 2 cats, or by having someone in our party be killed, in which case we instantly lose the game. And each round is going to have 3 phases: the hero phase, the enemy phase, and then the countdown phase. And in the hero phase, each hero is going to take 1 turn. And on their turn, they can do as many free actions as they want to, which is going to be revealing dungeon tiles and using any item cards that we have if we choose to do so. And then up to 2 full actions, which include moving, searching, swapping, reviving, and attacking. So let me go through those in just a second, but then after that, the enemy is going to take their turn. And on the enemy phase, each enemy sort of character or piece on the board will take 2 actions, attacking and moving as they need to. And then finally, in the countdown phase, all of the heroes will be refreshed to use again in the next round. Hero tokens will be moving down on the countdown track, which I'll explain again in a minute. But then also, if we have not explored, that's the next thing I will explain. If we haven't explored and this torch token is still on top of this deck, this threat marker will move down 1 on the track. And if that comes off the bottom of the track, we will spawn spiders on every dungeon card that has spider webs, which does, if you notice here, include our starting tile. All right, so on a hero's turn, again, free actions are revealing and using. Revealing is how we're going to sort of expose more of the dungeon as we explore. So let's go ahead and start my first hero turn, and you can sort of see how it works as I play. So there is no turn order in this game. I can choose to activate any of the heroes that I want to in any order that I want to, but each of them will activate once per round. And I should start by explaining an explore, because otherwise there's nothing for us to do right now. And an explore action is, on a turn, any character, for example, this dwarf here on the edge, that is on the edge of a card, can choose to, for free, reveal a card. And you can do this many times as you want to if sort of later on you find yourself on a different edge, or for example in the case of the halfling who's on 2 different edges, could reveal 2 dungeon cards to start. So let me slide that up a little bit so we have some space. And we will say that the dwarf is taking his turn. So I'm going to slide that up just so we remember that. And we reveal our first dungeon card. And this dungeon card is an interesting one because we are surprisingly starting right away with our story card. I don't think I've ever drawn a story card for the first card, but again, remember, this was shuffled with 3 other non-story cards into the top 4 cards of the deck, so it is 1 in 4 chance that it would come out first. So in the case like this, where there is a story card, we're instantly going to go back to the scenario that we're playing and read the entry for that card that we found. But before I do that, let me just explain how this will all work. Now that I've placed this, or now that I've revealed this card, I can rotate this in any direction that I'd like to, with the only rule being it must fit sort of in a square grid of cards, and it must be placed such that at least one accessible space is touching the sort of space that the person revealing is doing. And diagonal counts as sort of a touching, or in this case, in this game, diagonal counts the same as any other orthogonal adjacent space. So I could place it this way, or this way, or this way. And if I do it this way, if we're smart about it, there is a wall up here, means I can't go up. So let's go ahead and slide that up to the top of the screen and place that there. That way we can explore in this direction, not having to worry about that one specific direction, at least for right now. And having done that, we're going to read the entry for H, which says, "You see before you a glowing magical altar surrounded by rubble. At your feet, you spot 2 normal cat-sized collars. I bet this is where Kevin tried to do his spell," you call to the others. "They must have grown too big, burst out of their collars, and then knocked down these pillars while running away. You suspect you'll somehow need to make use of this mystical place to put the 2-headed Remy Luna cat right again." Just then, 2 orcs walk into the room. They must have heard you shouting to the others. Grunting to each other, they raise their weapons threateningly. It says, "Put 2 orc standees on any 2 different empty squares of card H." All right, so we are going to have orcs. So I'll explain right now how these work. The enemy has a health as shown here and a movement value as shown here, just like we do. These are the dice the enemy will roll during their phase, and this is their range, which in this case is 1. And I need to place out 2 of those orcs anywhere I want to on that tile. And I'm going to put one next to him for sure, because what that means then is that he can hit it right away. I'd love to put the other one next to him, except that everyone else is ranged, and if I put that there, we can't walk through enemies, so we're going to kind of be stuck by doing that. So I'm going to put both orcs there and there, and again, I apologize that you can't see what they are on screen, but I'll do my best to explain as I'm doing things what I'm doing. But it's still the dwarf's turn. He hasn't actually taken any action. So he gets 2 actions, which can be move, search, swap, revive, or attack. A move action simply allows me to move from space to space up to the total value as shown on their card, which in the dwarf's case is 3. You can pass through other heroes, but you cannot land on them. You cannot pass through enemies. Diagonal movement is exactly the same as orthogonal movement. So for example, I could move there to that space because it is adjacent and empty. But I don't want to move the dwarf right now because there is no rule that you cannot take the same action twice. So it is very likely the dwarf will attack twice against the orc this turn, assuming that he needs to do so. The other options are search. Search means if I'm adjacent to or on top of a treasure tile or treasure token on the dungeon somewhere, I can use my action to open that treasure chest and reveal the top treasure card. Swap means if I'm standing adjacent to another hero, I can use an action to exchange cards with them. And that means any number of cards given or taken from someone next to you. Sorry, with one someone next to you. Revive sounds like healing, but it's actually not. There's no natural way to heal in this game unless you take Healer Cat, who can heal with her special ability. Otherwise, the only way to heal in this game is if you potentially find health potions in a treasure chest. Revive will actually just revive a stunned hero. So if you're adjacent to a hero who is stunned, you can use a revive action to wake them back up again. And stunned is not something that happens in normal gameplay. It is something that will happen from an event or some kind of special action and so on. Then finally, as I said before, my last action is attack. An attack means that I can simply choose to attack any enemy person or piece that is within range of my weapon. So for the dwarf, my range is 1. So I could attack by rolling a red die plus whatever the weapon shows, which in this case is a white die. So 1 red and 1 white. I would roll to attack. Now, there is a difference between these two dice. The red dice have 3 success sides, and the white dice only have 2 success. So this is a 50% chance, and this is a 1/3 chance of hitting. And for every success that I roll, I will do damage against that creature. Now you'll notice that the orc has 3 hit points. The best I can do with a normal attack from the dwarf is 2 hits. Now, so that you don't simply become punished for missing, anytime you miss an attack, you will flip your card over to become determined, and that's going to add an additional 1 white die to your attack until you successfully hit, in which case that will flip back again. Then, each of the characters, in addition to their regular actions, have a special ability. To use the special ability, you will take that character's token and place it on the 2 right here. And then what that means is at the end of every round when this moves down, as long as your token is still on this timer, you will not be able to use your ability, but as soon as it comes off, your ability comes back again. So basically, you've got an on again, off again, sort of 1 round cooldown for every ability that you might use. I also noticed while playing around here that this torch should have gone to the dwarf for having already revealed 1 card this round, which means our threat counter will not be moving this round. All right, so the dwarf will attack the orc that's directly adjacent to him, rolling 2 dice, hitting twice, yay. So I will put 2 damage underneath that orc. And then he attacks a second time, hitting again and defeating that orc. Now I did just realize I started explaining these special abilities and then stopped. The dwarf's special ability is that he can take a move and attack in a single action by using his ability. The crossbow dude will let me take 3 actions instead of 2 if I don't move. So that means the crossbow dude can sort of stay in place and make 3 shots against an enemy. The halfling has the ability, which I sort of explained before, that he can choose not to take any damage from a single attack. And then finally, the wizard woman has a sort of splash damage, sort of like a firebolt kind of spell that says after damaging a target, I can do the same amount of damage to one enemy adjacent to that target. Now, taking a look at someone like Crossbow Dude, for example, right now, if I were to take Crossbow Dude's turn right now, the last thing I need to talk about is line of sight. Here, line of sight in this game is from corner to corner of space. So if you can draw a straight line from the corner of the space where you currently are to a corner of the space where the enemy currently is without passing through any walls or any characters of any kind, you can attack that enemy. However, in this case, for example, with Crossbow Dude, his line of sight passes through the dwarf, so he is unable to see anybody at this point. But again, they could move through an ally piece. But right now, there's not a whole lot going on the board except for that 1 orc that doesn't scare me too much. Dwarf's turn is done, so I'm going to turn him sideways like that. I'm going to take the halfling's turn right now, and I'm going to explore one more time. So we're revealing another card, which is our first treasure, and this is our first sort of normal tile, which you can see now is showing me what kind of enemies are going to be on the board. So all of the enemies, in addition to having health printed on their card, have a symbol printed in the corner, and that tells me which enemy will spawn. So I'm going to place this like that. And what that means is we have 2 gremlins and a goblin. And actually, you know what? I'm going to try and do this and see if it's helpful. And if I can manage to keep things on squares without being too crazy, which, no, already I see I can't. Those are going to standees. I'm sorry. 1, 2 gremlins, and 1 goblin. Gremlin rolls 1 red die, goblin rolled 2. Goblin has 2 health, gremlin has 1. And range of the gremlin is 8, Well, the goblin can only attack adjacent. We also place a treasure there, which can be explored later if we get adjacent to it. All right, so then I will be using the halfling. And I'm going to have the halfling attack the gremlin that's standing right next to him. There is no sort of negative for using a ranged weapon adjacent to you. You don't get any kind of disadvantage or anything. So I'm going to roll red and a white for the halfling to try and hit the gremlin who's right next to him and does only need 1 damage. And I did hit it, so that gremlin is gone. Then, I might as well try to, he's got a range of 4. Let's try and hit the other gremlin. Why not? Rolling and misses. So now he's determined for his next turn. He's done his turn, and that is all he can do. Now let's use Wizard Woman. Wizard Woman has a range of 3, which means she can hit either of them. Wizard Woman being this one right here. And she's got the ability to do splash damage. So if, for example, if I roll a 2 here and use her magic, she could kill both of them because they are adjacent to each other. Let's try for that. Attacking the goblin. And missing completely, but she is now determined, which means we can do it again with an additional white die. And I still completely miss, so that's not great, but that is her turn. So all we've got left is Crossbow Dude. Do we care to fight an orc or the goblin? The orc is aiming to hit our strongest people. So I'm going to have the Crossbow Dude who can move 4 spaces, come 1, 2, 3, setting him up to open the chest next turn, but he's going to attack, not determined. He will attack the goblin. No. I'd rather kill one for sure than not. So let's attack the gremlin over here, who only has 1 hit point, and we did hit 1. So that gremlin is dead. That is our turn. Now the enemies take their turn. There are no more gremlins left. Enemy activation happens in any order we want it to, and they will always, if they are adjacent to us, attack. If they are not adjacent to us, they will move and then attack. But remembering they get 2 actions, so if they're already next to us, they will attack twice. So putting Crossbow Dude there was somewhat of a mistake, but that's okay. The goblin will attack Crossbow Dude twice with 2 white dice. First is a single hit, and the second is a miss. So the Crossbow Dude goes down to 7 health, like that. Then the orc is going to step forward. I get to choose who they attack. They could attack the dwarf or the halfling. In this case, I will let them attack the halfling because he has the ability to negate all damage if necessary, and the orc rolls 2 red dice, so they have a higher chance of doing up to 2 damage. Attacking the halfling, they rolled a single damage, but I might as well negate it. So I'm using the halfling's ability, putting that there. He takes no damage. That's the end of the enemy's phase. We move to the countdown phase. Threat does not move because the torch is here, but the torch will go back. And the halfling's ability moves down, prepping him for the next turn. All right, then we refresh everybody. Like that. And like that. And I think I'm going to start by moving the dwarf to here. That's 1, 2. Now, I'm pausing in the middle of my move to reveal a tile, but you can interrupt the movement with a reveal and continue moving. So he will have 1 additional movement after this. So again, the torch comes off, we flip a tile. Again, regular stuff. I don't know how I want to place them. Placing them, whoops, like that is not horrible. Except that it puts him in a bad position. So I'm going to spin this around, making it 1 large room that everyone has access to. But that means we get an orc coming in the middle, right there, and I've got 2 more gremlin guys right there and right there. This is a tight space. but I wanted to explore, and I don't know if that was the right time to do it, but that's okay. Nobody's hurt yet. I'm going to hit with the dwarf against this orc behind him. He misses, so he is determined for his next turn, but that is all that he can do. And I might be in trouble. And let's retcon things a minute. No, I can't do that. I wanted to use the dwarf's charge, but I won't do that now because that's kind of cheating. Okay, then the halfling is determined. He is attacking the orc behind him and hits for 1. Means he's no longer determined. But I will attack the orc one more time and hope that maybe I can take them out. Unfortunately not. They only get hit one more time for 2. And that is the halfling's turn. Then, the wizard woman can absolutely hit anybody on the board. No, she can't hit this guy. Yes, she can. From this corner to this corner. She definitely cannot hit this one, but that's okay. I'm going to have her attack this goblin again, hoping that she can splash damage into somebody. She's determined. She hits 1. Do I waste her splash for a single? No, I do not. She hits the goblin for 1. One of those goes away. She's going to attack the goblin one more time. And that is only a single damage. She will use the splash because I need to get rid of some stuff on the board, killing the 2 of them, the gremlin and the goblin that was already damaged. Like that. So the only person left is Crossbow Dude, who can hit both orcs right now, but not the gremlin far away. He's going to use his special power, but we'll see if that happens yet. Hold on. Wizard Woman is no longer determined. Crossbow Dude fires at the wounded orc in the back. He only needs 1 to kill it. And he does with 2. That orc is gone. Then he's going to fire on the other orc. Again rolling 2. Yay, Crossbow Dude on a roll. Then he is going to use his special power, which lets him take a 3rd action since he hasn't moved. And he's going to fire again on that orc. And hits for just a single hit, but that will do to take out the orc. Okay, that is all our turns. Oops, she was done. He is done. Means Gremlin gets a turn. He is already adjacent to my dwarf. Whoops, I got rid of the card. He rolls a single red die against the dwarf, which is a hit. So Dwarfy goes down to 9. Fine with me. We did explore. Torch goes back. Halfling gets their ability back. These 2 slide down. Everybody refreshes. And we continue. All right. Then, Halfling goes first. Smart? I don't know. Halfling is moving. 1, 2, 3, and revealing, which is another regular card. Like that. We've got 3 goblins coming out. So that's 1, 2, and 3 with a chest. I was going to explore again, but I don't think that's smart right now. Then he's going to try and shoot the furthest goblin. Rolling a red and a white. And he rolls a single success, which does not take out the goblin, unfortunately. But that's okay. Then he's done. Dwarf is determined. It seems like a waste, but he's going to roll to try and take out that gremlin. And he definitely does. No longer determined. And he moves 3 spaces max, but he's going to use his power to charge, moving 1, 2, 3, remembering diagonals count as a regular move. No longer determined, but is attacking the front goblin. And I just realized that is a bit of a mistake, but that's the best I can do. That means crossbow dude and wizard woman will need to move. I'm retconning things a minute. I want him to take his turn first. He's exploring that chest. And he gets, ooh, an even nicer crossbow. I couldn't have set that up better if I tried. And I didn't, I promise. He now has a heavy crossbow with a range of 7 still, but he rolls 2 white dice. You can only ever hold one weapon at a time, but you can switch sort of during your turn as a free action. But anyway, he now rolls a red and 2 whites, and he's going to shoot the goblin in the middle, rolling again a red and 2 whites. And I'm sorry I retconned the dwarf, but yeah, I should plan a little bit slower, and sometimes on camera that doesn't happen. So we roll, he only hits for 1, which is a problem, but it is what it is, like that. Now, that was crossbow dude. Now the dwarf did what he did, and he is attacking that goblin. And he also hits for 1. Grr. Okay, then that's a problem because wizard woman can't get in there without putting herself in danger. And she doesn't have a power right now. So I'm actually just going to make her come over here and end her turn. Right in this spot, right there. And that's it. That's all I'm doing. It does mean the goblins get lots of attacks, but it means that she won't get hit, I think. Yeah, but she can take a hit. No, forget it. She's going to come. How fast does she move? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And she's going to shoot the guy in the back. And she does hit him. Good, so he's dead. So maybe that was worth it. Because what's going to happen is this goblin, there are no more gremlins, this goblin hits the dwarf. 2 white dice is a miss. This goblin hits wizard woman, also a miss. Oh, that turned out wonderfully. Okay, good. Then torch goes back. All of the powers come back off. No, not all. Dwarf moves down. Still threat doesn't advance. Everybody comes back to life. And I'm going to start with wizard woman because she's on the edge. Let's have her reveal 1 card. So she reveals, ooh, a story. Card E says, as you enter the room, you see a table covered in dishes, half-eaten and forgotten meals, and tons of parchment and ink. Maybe this is where the monsters in the dungeon do their homework. Wow, this room is messy, you say to your companions, or you would if you weren't sneezing so much from all the cat hair. Darn allergies. The 2-headed Remy Luna cat has definitely been in here. You wonder if anything helpful could be in this room, hidden under all this mess. It says a hero standing on card E can use a full action to look for anything useful under the cat hair, rolling a white die. If I roll a success, I'd get a lucky feather card from the special item deck. That's all I can find in the room. If I don't roll a success, then I accidentally prod a sleeping spider napping, put 1 spider on any empty square in card E, and we can keep trying that. But again, every time we fail, we get a spider. Maybe. We'll see what happens in just a second. But first, it's her turn. She's going to attack this goblin right here. Is she? How far does the dwarf move? 3. 1, 2, 3. And explore. Yeah, I'm going to slide everything up a little bit. If we go off the screen, that's okay because we're not up there anymore. So I want to make space for 1 more card down below here. Because instead, she's gonna, I don't want her to do that. Yeah, that's okay. Then she is going to attack that orc. Sorry, goblin, right in front of her. She's attacking that goblin for nothing. Trying again. Hold on, the second time she should have been determined, so let's see if we can hit with this one white die. She does not, so she's still determined, but she completely failed her turn. All right, so now I don't feel bad about what I did because nothing would have happened. The dwarf goes next, he moves 3. 1, 2, 3, down there, because he is going to reveal again. Revealing card 13 and 2 orcs. So I will put one orc next to him, like that, and one orc further away. And that was his first move, so he's going to try and smash that orc, rolling 1 red and 1 white. And he hits once, like that. That's his turn. Next, crossbow dude is shooting the front goblin. He has his power back, so he can potentially hit 3 times. Front goblin is dead. He had 1 damage. 1 more kills him. He shoots the next goblin same way, remembering his crossbow gets me that second white die every time now. He also kills that goblin, like that. And then his range is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can hit the next orc as well. Come on, roll 2. That would be brilliant. He does have to use his special ability for the 3rd attack. And of course, that's the one he missed, but that's okay because that means he's determined for next turn. Then, crossbow dude, no, halfling I mean, is going to move onto the chest. And from there, he's going to shoot the other orc with his second attack. And he also misses and is also determined. Okay, then this orc can already hit the dwarf for 2 red. Sorry, we've got orcs out now. Rolling 2 red dice and misses, that's brilliant. Now, 1, 2 gets him, yeah, that's the closest spot. He rolls and hits once against the dwarf, going down to 8 health. Okay, torch goes back on. Dwarf has his power back. Crossbow dude goes down. Everybody's back to life. Or back to active. And that's the round for now. All right, then. Yeah, we need to explore. Crossbow dude can shoot anyway. Dwarf comes 1, 2, 3 and is exploring this way. And we find more baddies. That's okay with me. But let's do it this way. Like that. We get an orc back again. And a goblin next to him. There. Like that. And that is a regular card, nothing special happening. And I will say that that was a charge and attack. So that he can hit that orc right in his face. And miss. And become determined and try one more time. And he's determined to miss. So he's continuing to be determined, but that's not fun. All right, then. Crossbow dude, from where he is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can hit there. And there is a straight line from this corner to this corner. So he can hit both of them. He's determined, so he's rolling 4 dice. I'm going to aim against the non-wounded orc. And all 4 of those missed. Okay, then he's going to take his second action against the wounded orc. And he does 3 damage, which of course I should have used against a non-wounded orc, but that's okay. He's done and he's no longer determined. Halfling is going to raid the chest. And in it he finds, a longbow, which gives him, instead of a range of 4, he now has a range of 9 plus a red die. That's amazing. Because now he's going to attack that orc. Still only 2 dice, so he can't kill it, but they are red, so his chances are higher. Oh, no. He's determined. Maybe we do. Nope, he hits twice though, and that's fine with me, no longer determined. So that flips back over like that. Wizard Woman is the last one left. She will step up. 1, 2, just 2. She's determined, and I'm gonna hope that she can splash damage somebody. So she rolls, aiming for the goblin, and hits 2. That's amazing. The goblin dies, and her bolt explodes and does 2 damage against that orc as well, like that. Cool. And we have explored, so we're good for that. We will have the orc attack the dwarf for 2 red dice and hits twice. Ouch. So dwarf is down to 6. That's not good, because again, we don't have healing right now. Then this orc steps up next to him and attacks, missing, of course, because he's the one that could have blocked. Oh well. Crossbow dude gets his powers back. Dwarf and wizard woman move down like that. Everybody's back to fighting strength. Torch goes there. Yes. How far does crossbow dude move? Crossbow dude moves 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and will reveal. There. That's a whole lot of nothing. Thanks, guys. Because now he can't even get to anybody. Oh well. He might as well move again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's his turn. The dwarf will attack. He is determined. 2 white and a red against that orc who's already wounded with 2 damage and misses. Trying again, still determined. And I do hit 1. That orc is gone. But I don't think we'll be exploring down like I was going to this turn. Then, yeah, we might as well though. Yeah. Dwarf is going to reveal down. Ooh, and we find another story card, L. What's in the hay? Let's find out. L. You enter the room and immediately trip over a moldy donut. What dungeon monster left that just lying around? You tumble right into what you thought was a pile of hay, but realize it's actually a giant mound of cat hair. The 2-headed Remy Luna cat has definitely been here. You consider how lucky you've been that you haven't come across any giant hairballs. As you pull yourself back to your feet, you sneeze the largest sneeze of your life. The hero who revealed card L rolls 1 red dice to discover the strength of their sneeze. Nothing. Let's see what that means. On a success, take the rope card and read the following. Nope. If no success was rolled, you simply wipe your nose and continue through the dungeon. Hope we didn't need that rope. Okay, the good news is there's no bad guys there. So, Halfling is going to try and attack. He's no longer determined, but he is done. Crossbow dude is done. Halfling is trying to kill the orc, rolling 2 red dice. And hits for 1 plus the 2 is dead. Like that. So he will move, how far? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Then Wizard Woman is going to search that room. Now what do I need to do to search? Roll a white die and hope for luck. Ouch, that's a 2 out of 6. A 1 in 3 chance of getting a lucky feather. Or a spider. And we get a spider. Okay, so spider spawns wherever I want it to. Let's put it down here because then I can have it attack the halfling if I need to, but she's going to attack it anyway, and she is determined. We haven't seen a spider yet. Let me pull out the spider card. They have 1 damage, move 5, and roll red and white. And she kills said spider. Okay. No enemies. We did reveal, so no threat. Everybody's token comes off. Wizard Woman is no longer determined because she killed a spider. Everybody reactivates. Halfling is exploring this way. which is a chest and 2 orcs. Yuck. But that's okay. Not the end of the world. Halfling will attack an orc, rolling 2 red, and missing with both. Okay, determined, but that's it. Crossbow dude is going to fire on the close orc first. Hitting for 3. That orc is dead. Second orc. Hitting for 2. And he's actually going to use his ability to fire one more time and hopefully wipe out that orc. Wow, hitting for 3 again. That's amazing. That orc is very dead. And crossbow dude is very done. And this torch should have gone back, but halfling explored this time. Okay, then wizard woman is looking for the feather again. And she fails. There's a spider coming back again. Putting him next to the same space I did last time. She's going to try one more time to look for that feather. And fails again. Oh well, that was a mistake, but that's okay. Okay, then dwarf attacks the first spider. Remembering spiders only have 1 hit point. And misses. Determined dwarf attacks the spider again. The one above him kills that spider with 2 hits like that. And that is everybody. Which means the spiders attack. I'm going to have them attack the halfling with a red and a white, hoping that he can eat the damage if he needs to. Might as well. He takes no damage. We did explore or reveal, so that goes back. Then these slide down like that. It is our turn again. Crossbow dude steps over 1 and reveals, which is a plain old regular card with some plain old regular gremlins. 2 plain old regular gremlins and a treasure chest. Like that. And he did have to move to get there, so he can only shoot one of them. But that's okay, because the halfling can shoot real far too. So crossbow dude will shoot the guy right next to him with a red and 2 white. Very, very, very dead gremlin. That's crossbow dude. It's a major waste, but dwarf is going to attack and move, attacking the spider, smashing the spider, and moving to the chest there, using his second action to reveal said chest. And he got a warhammer, which will definitely replace his axe. Still a range of 1, but now 2 white instead of 1. That's great. No longer determined, but is done. Then wizard woman looks for a feather again. And succeeds. Hooray. Okay, good. So let's find that feather. Let's see why did we do that? All right, remember in the story it said it might be something special, but otherwise the lucky feather simply lets me re-roll any dice once. So she's got a feather. She still also has 1 turn, and she can move 4 spaces. How far does she reach? She can only reach 3, so she can't hit anybody. 1, 2, 3. She'll stop there for right now. No, she might as well step up. She has full health, and he can shoot through there, and he's going to hit with 2 reds, and the gremlin has 1 health, as seen there. So halfling's turn. Oh, he's also determined. Yeah, he's knock on some wood. Yeah, we did hit. Only once, but we did hit. He's not determined anymore. But said gremlin is said dead. And halfling moves 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Their abilities come off. This slides down. Torch goes back, but that's okay. Next round, no more enemies. Halfling goes first so he can explore. And he's going to explore up with a corridor to nothing. To nothing, but this is where things get a little bit interesting. Because we could potentially, how many more tiles we got? 4 left. So in those 4 somewhere is the final story. How much does he move? He moves 5 and he didn't have to move because he ended there last time. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3 and explore. And he finds a big room full of baddies. 2 orcs and a gremlin. And I can spin those however I want to. Because he can come back now with the rest of his move for 5 and shoot that gremlin. Killing it. He's done. Wizard woman comes here to the chest and opens the chest for her turn. She's the only one who didn't get anything, and she gets, X-ray goggles. Says, you ignore other heroes and enemies when determining line of sight. So she can shoot through people, which is kind of cool, but not amazing. But that's her turn, and we've got enemies far away. How far do orcs move? Orcs are slow-ish, 3. Anyway, only 1 can reach him, and he has the power to eat damage right now. So, dwarf goes 1, 2, and explores down, which is just a corridor to nothing. So let's say we're all going up. I guess he could move again and explore, but I'm afraid of what we get this turn. So no, he doesn't do that. Dwarf is done. Yeah, it may be stupid, but crossbow dude has 7 health. The worst that orcs can do is 2. Yeah, forget it. 1, 2, 3. And he's shooting the orc at the end of the hallway for 3 dice. Let him take some damage. He can only get 1 hit anyway because the orcs are going to block the hallway. And he hits 1. Okay. So faraway orc has 1 damage. Like that. That is everybody's turn. And I'm going to say faraway orc moves first, moving 3 spaces here. Attacking for 2 red against crossbow dude. Missing. Second orc can't get there, so he stops right like that. And that's my turn. Dwarf comes off. Everybody resets. And then crossbow dude goes first, because he might shoot 3 times and push his way through those orcs. So he's shooting the orc directly in front of him, who's wounded for 1 already, and hitting for 1 more. And then again, missing. That's not good, but now he's determined. I have 4 dice to hit 1. And we hit twice. Good. Okay, so this orc is gone. Great. Because then, let me slide down a little so we can see that top space. Like that. Okay, no, he's done. Halfling dude can move 5 spaces. And diagonals are open, so he can go 1, 2, 3, 4. No. 1, 2, 3. Let's end up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. He is exploring. No, then he's stopping there with a 4 because we're going to have to see what comes out. Ha, a chest. Okay. Like that. And then he is going to move 1 more space there because he still has 1 left and hit the orc with 2 red dice, which is 1 hit, like that. I don't like having those people stuck there, but I'm going to explore this way now. I have to. 1, 2. This is our last story for sure. There is a chest there. And the story says, following the trail of cat hair, you enter a small room and spot a giant two-headed cat, all curled up inside a giant empty treasure chest. Even monster cats like boxes, it seems. One half of the cat is orange with purple patches. The other half is blue and has purple stripes all over. And yep, there are two heads, one orange, one blue, with 4 eyes that are suddenly open and definitely staring at you. The cat, startled by you, hisses, in stereo, in your direction. You know you need to somehow calm Remy Luna to lure it back over to the magical altar. Not one to back down from a challenge, even a giant allergy-ish one. You use your most charming voice and say, "Here, kitty, kitty." All right, so it says, place the Remy Luna standee on the treasure chest icon on card I. Do not put a treasure chest. All right, so we've got Remy Luna on a standee, which looks like this. Oh, how cute if they weren't so monstrous and menacing. That goes on the treasure chest right there. Any hero standing on a square adjacent to card I must roll 1 dice. Huh? Adjacent to card I. So that means the dwarf is rolling 1 red die. He rolls a success. On a success, nothing happens and they are able to withstand the sudden blast of air shot at them by the hissing cat. Yay! Otherwise they would have been knocked back. Any hero standing adjacent to Remy Luna can spend 2 full actions to try to charm it. Roll 1 white dice. If the hero has both the lucky feather and some rope, they can use a free action to tie them together and create a giant cat toy and roll 2 white dice instead of 1. Well, I don't have a rope and a feather. I have only a feather. Grr. Then, if you roll a success, then Remy Luna is successfully charmed. It will follow the hero who charmed it as they move through the dungeon, always staying adjacent to that hero. If they do not succeed, then Remy Luna is not charmed and will act as a regular enemy. There's no limit to the number of attempts that can be made to charm the two-headed cat. But I have to use 2 successes. That's not good. Okay. So if all 4 heroes re-enter card H with the cat, read the following. So I got to get the cat all the way back here. Grr. But, oh, okay. So as soon as we get the cat charmed, everything is okay. The problem is we can't get there yet. All right, so then how far does Remy Luna move? Let's take out her card. She moves 5. Okay, great. So I'd like to get her attached to the halfling or the wizard woman. I wish I had the rope, but we didn't get it, and there's no way to get it again. So I want him to back up, because then the cat will fill in that hole. And they can both try to charm it next time. Okay, then that is the end of the round because I don't want to do anything else. So then the orc is going to come towards either one of us. I'm going to go this way because he's got defense potential. The orc rolls 2 dice, hits for 1, no damage taken. Remy Luna, though, has 10 health. Well, I'll show you this. We're not going to attack her because we're trying to save her anyway, but 10 health. Moves 5, rolls red and 2 white. That's horrible. She gets 3 actions per turn. So she's going to step up here, hitting the dwarf for 2. He goes down to 4 health. Hitting wizard woman for 1. She goes down to 7. That's okay. That's okay. Then we all need to run like crazy. Well, first things first. It takes 2 actions. All right, well, Wizard Girl's going to try and charm the cat. Rolling a white die. And she succeeds on the first try. Look at that. So Remy Luna is now friendly Remy Luna. Yay! And then it says that it will follow the hero who charmed it as they move through the dungeon, always staying adjacent. So that's her turn. She can't do anything else. But everybody else needs to sort of book it back to the area. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 that way. halfling moves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Crossbow dude, sorry, these should have moved forward one last time. Crossbow dude is going to try and shoot that orc. 1 red and 2 white. Hitting it 3 times and killing it. Great, so there's no more enemies chasing us unless we don't make it back and spiders spawn. And he moves 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Remy Luna does not attack because it's charmed. That was super easy. Yay. That's the end of the round. We did not explore, so that comes down. Those go off like that. All right. Then Wizard Woman takes Remy Luna. No, let's get everybody back first. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Okay, she moves 4 spaces. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. That's her first move. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. We're not quite there because Remy Luna is not on card H yet. So that is the end of the round. Spiders will spawn, but they spawn after they attack. So I'm not going to bother doing it. Well, I can put the spiders on the board for you to see. We get a spider here. They start in the center space of wherever they spawned. Anywhere that has a spider web. So here, here, here. Yeah, that's it. But the spiders aren't going to get a turn because Wizard Woman steps onto the board. Let's have her step to the altar with the cat. And it says, if all 4 heroes re-enter card H with the cat, read the following. You've done it. You've lured the Remy Luna cat back to the magic altar. Now, if only you knew the magic word is to turn the 1 2-headed cat back into 2 1-headed cats. You all realize that you think you remember hearing Wizard Pebbledash chant a size change spell just the other day, but you each only remember a little bit of it. All 4 heroes and the charmed Remy Luna must be standing on card H in order to cast the spell. One at a time, have each player make up 1 magic word and say it out loud. Once all players have spoken their word in turn, the magic spell has been uttered. Read the following. All right, so there should be 4 of us playing or multiples of us playing. It's just me. So we say alakazam, abracadabra, sim, sim, salabim, shazam, and the cat starts coming apart. It says, that was it. Good thing everyone remembered a little bit of the spell. Before your very eyes, the giant 2-headed cat shrinks and separates, becoming 1 normal-sized black cat and 1 normal-sized white cat with orange stripes on its tail. You pick up the purring, grateful cats and leave the dungeon. So, end of the game, we have won. There is a winning story and a losing story. In this case, we did win, and it says, when you see Kevin again, he's still crying, but this time with tears of joy as the now normal-sized Remy and Luna rub his ankles and demand their dinner. You sneeze 1 final time as you resume your drizzly walk through Huddersfield. Another challenge conquered. And with that, that is the end of the game. This is where I normally like to take a look at components. I'm not really going to show you too much that you haven't already seen. The treasures and special items I will leave for you to find if and when you play the game yourself. I do want to correct one thing. I did say that there's a long version and a short version. The long version does add 4 more cards, so each stack of cards with the story is 5 cards instead of 4. But I said that you would use the other side of this. That's not true. The other side of this is just for specific scenarios that use it for something specific. I can show you a couple more of the standees. These are some more of the bosses that you could end up fighting. Hold on, let me flip this hedgehog guy around so you can see it. That you could end up fighting in this game, or maybe not bosses, like in the case of this one where we were just leading the cat around. Once I successfully charmed it, of course. The only other kind of enemy that we haven't seen yet are the rat enemies, or more specifically the rat folk, who are a 2 health, 4 walk, red-white die with a 1 adjacent attack. The other 4 heroes that you didn't see are the Robo Kettle, who starts with a Morning Star, which is an adjacent attack, 10 health, 3 movement. His ability is to move up to 2 enemies Next to him, 1 square each. So he's basically pushing away 2 enemies adjacent. Sword Girl with the broadsword. Let me pull out those other cards because I don't remember all of the stuff. Broadsword is also a 1 adjacent card. She has a health of 8, movement of 4, and her ability says you and or one adjacent hero become determined. So she can cause people to become determined even if they don't miss, which is very nice. Healer Cat, this is the only healer in the game aside from potentially the potions that could come out of the treasure. She's got 6 health, 5 movement, and her weapon is pretty fun. She's got a bodyguard cat that she kind of throws at people. It's got a range of 2. And her ability, again, is healing. It says use 1 full action to roll 2 white dice. For every success, heal 1 point of damage from an adjacent hero. So it's pretty weak in that it's hard to succeed, and at most it does 2 healing. But you saw we didn't need a ton of healing as long as we played somewhat smart in the game. And the last character here is the Spear Woman, who starts with a spear, which is a range 2 stabby weapon. 8 health, 4 movement, and she has the ability to, after rolling to attack, turn 1 die into a result of your choice. So she gets to auto success on a single die every other turn, which is pretty awesome. Now you will notice that the spear, the Morningstar, the bodyguard cat, and the broadsword are the weapons I just showed you, but there are also throwing knives with a range of 3, a club with a range of 1, a quarterstaff with a range of 1, and a bow with a range of 6. And there are no starting characters in the game that start with these, and that's because you also have the ability in this game to completely create a character of your own. I haven't done that yet, but I love that they give you a couple of additional items, cards to let you do that. You can also make things up completely if you want to, but in this book, they give you sort of health and movement options, standard, fast, or tough. You can choose from the starting weapons like I showed you, or you can make your own. And they also give you some special abilities that you can potentially choose from. This game was originally also drawn by children, so the idea that this whole thing is customizable by children is really cool. As you can see, they took the original artwork like this and turned it into sort of slightly fancier, more well illustrated and well sort of colored and shaded and so on art, but it's still very much the original artwork, which is super cool. But you can also make your own items, you can also make your own quests, you can also make your own enemies. You can sort of play with, if you make your own enemies, this is sort of how you set the different strengths based on the different symbols and the different bosses and so on. The game also comes with 3 treasure cards, 3 starting item cards, and 3 special item cards that are all completely blank if you do decide you'd like to create your own card. With that, you could potentially even use, they're kind of glossy, you could potentially use a wet erase marker, and then they could stay there, and at some point you could use water and wipe it away. That could be really cool to have it sort of be able to be changed up a bit. But otherwise, that's basically all of the components in the game. Again, the artwork I mentioned already, which is pretty cool, is that everything you see was drawn by kids during the original Kickstarter campaign and then spruced up by an actual artist. And I don't want to say actual artist because kids are actual artists too, but a professional artist, I guess, is a better way to say it. But again, a lot of it was also drawn by Cora herself because this was designed by a content creator / board game guy and his daughter during homeschooling during COVID. Anyway, the look of the game is incredibly charming because it does look very childish, but it also looks very warm and inviting and well sort of graphically put together, which I really, really do like. As far as the insert for the game, there is no insert for the game. It is just an empty box, so everything will get put into baggies, but it is very cool that the inside of the box itself is also a dungeon with even some art on the side, so you can see like the light spilling through the doorway and so on. A little bit of printing in there that didn't really need to happen, but looks really, really cool, and I'm glad that it was. That's basically all I have to say about the components. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Now, before you listen to this old fogey ramble on about my thoughts on the game, let's go ahead and meet up with my 9-year-old nephew, Wyatt, to see how he feels about this game first. So Wyatt, how are you?
Great.
So we're talking about CoraQuest as you've got in front of you right now. Tell us, what do you think about CoraQuest?
It's a great game. I like how it's designed by Cora and Dan Hughes.
That's hard to read. Hughes. Okay, pause there because I'll give you a little bit of information. I don't know if you know this. This game was designed during COVID.
Okay.
Dan Hughes is a person who likes to review games and talk about games, and he'd never designed games before.
Okay.
He was stuck at home during COVID with his daughter Cora. He was homeschooling her for during COVID times.
Okay.
She was 8 years old. How old are you now?
9.
9. So she was 1 year old, younger than you. And based on what I see on the internet, he was, I think, 44, which is 1 year younger than me. So basically, you and me, stuck home during COVID, sat down and designed a game as part of your homeschooling. What do you think about that?
That was great.
I
would love it. I would love it. I would probably create a monster called a Wyatt monster.
The Wyatt monster, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's called CoraQuest, and her name is
Yeah.
Cora, so she had the same kind of idea, I guess. So, you know now that it's designed by someone like you.
Yeah.
That's cool, right?
That's so cool. It's a bit of help from a 44-year-old.
Well, sure, but the characters and the creatures and so on, a lot of it was drawn by kids, not just her, but other kids as well.
Oh, I see it now.
And then they had a professional artist take the kids' drawings and turn them into real drawings. That's why they look fancier, but they're all kids' drawings, which is cool, right?
That's so cool.
All right, so let's talk about the game. What do you like about the game?
I like about the game that there's so many quests in there, and all of them like kind of connect. Like there's one reveal card that is basically it may have had like a kitchen table on it with tons of food. Maybe one quest is pointing to the poison drink, or maybe one quest is pointing to the weird fungus on the floor. Basically, one card can have multiple meanings.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, right? The dungeon tiles have pictures.
Also, it has a what should we call it? A connection to Home Alone.
Oh yeah, there was a joke.
One quest says there are two bandits in the house named Marv and Harry, and Harry was playing in the bathtub and like, wait, we could call ourselves the Wet Bandits, Wet Bandit Goblins.
That was funny, right?
Yeah.
Nice little references thrown in there. So let's talk about the game itself. Tell me, how does the game play? What kind of a game is it?
It's basically Dungeons and Dragons, but way easier, and there's an actual board.
Okay, so tell me about that. If I don't know what Dungeons and Dragons are, so there's a board. What are we doing on the board?
So there's different cards that you can place anywhere, reveal, and you can reveal anything. So basically, like if you're standing on the edge, you can have an option to reveal a new card, and it'll even have a story, treasure chest, or just foes you have to defeat.
Okay, so the cards you're revealing then are the pieces of the dungeon, right? They're like a map that you're growing out.
Yes.
So when you go into the dungeon, you don't know anything, right? You don't know what anything is.
You just
don't
start
know
with a welcome mat.
Right, you start at the entrance with the welcome mat, right? So you're controlling 4 characters going through the dungeon.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing with the characters? So you are revealing the map, but what else are you doing along the way?
There's different foes. You can see from the cover there are lots of them.
There are.
And you can either move, fight, or reveal. Moving is good, but fighting can deal damage, and revealing kind of makes the story. There's this thing that like controls the round, and if it goes to 0, something bad happens. Like one quest, the game's over, and you lose if you didn't do the story or did it right. Or one quest go down, spiders come out.
Right, so for most of the quests, that timer, right, if you don't reveal, the timer goes down and then spiders come out. So the game is pushing you to reveal more things and find more things, right? But you're right, in the most recent quest we just played, the spiders didn't come anymore. The timer was ticking down every round. And we had to accomplish some kind of goal before the timer ran out. And every time we did a little bit, we got a little bit more time back, right?
Yeah.
So do you like that feeling of time pushing you to move faster through the game? Is that a good thing?
Well, It's cool, but I feel like every time there's like a timer, I immediately feel a rush and nervous in my blood system.
Yeah, but that's sort of part of the experience. If you were in
Yeah.
a real dungeon exploring, you might feel that same nervous, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing to have that kind of nervous pressure?
Good and bad.
A little bit of both? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that some quests you had that timer where spiders were coming, and some quests you had a timer where that was the end of the game if you didn't finish.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about the quests. You've already talked about the dungeon cards or the dungeon tiles have pictures on them that are relating to the story. What do you think about the stories? Are the stories interesting or fun in this game?
Yeah, the stories are interesting. I feel like the way they introduce one of the boss, you catch him in his bathtub.
Yeah, we just found a boss in the bathtub, right?
Yeah, and also the story you read before you play the dungeon is also kind of funny.
Funny, so I like that. So the stories are funny. They're not just normal sort of
Yes.
dragon stories, right?
So one time we were in a dungeon and the wizard needed eggs, spider eggs, because the store doesn't have them and he had to wait till next Friday.
So let's talk about that then. Every time we played this game, we've played a different story, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like the goals in the stories are always the same, or are things changing up every time?
Different, way different.
I like that, right? Because a lot of these games you go in and every story is kill the bad guy, kill the bad guy, kill the bad guy. Do we always have to kill the bad guys to win in this game?
No, one time there was a king spider, but he just had a health like a normal spider.
Like in this, we just played a quest now, right?
Yeah,
that had a
that
bad
one
guy.
had a big boss.
But did we have to kill the boss to win?
No.
No, this time we didn't, right? What did we? Do you remember what we had to do this time?
We had to turn off all the faucets.
Right, the faucets, I forget
dips.
what are their names? Do you remember their name? Kevin and Annabelle?
Yeah, Kevin and
Like
Annabelle.
fairies or something that had turned on all the water in the dungeon, and we had to turn them all off before the time ran out, right? So sometimes there is a boss that you have to fight. Sometimes there's lots of enemies you have to get rid of. You were saying before there was an egg quest where we had to go finding eggs. This time we had to turn off the water. I think one time we played another one, there was... You didn't play that one with it. I played that with Amata, my son. That one was we had to collect money on the cards as we were going through to collect enough money to buy something. There's lots of really cool quests. I agree with you.
Yeah, I was reading through the quests to play with my family, and I found two really funny quests. One quest said Annabelle or Kevin, I think it was Kevin or Annabelle, got a new snake pet, but it was like kind of big, and we had to fight.
Oh, it turned into the monster.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was the boss, the snake pet.
Cool. Do you remember last time we played with Pop? There was something stuck up high on a shelf or something. Do you remember that part of the quest?
No, I don't.
We had to. It created a new kind of gameplay too. We had to build like a tower using the cards and the dice to get to the top of the shelf to get a key or something. I don't remember, but it was interesting that we had to build something. So it added some dexterity to the game too.
Yeah.
But you mentioned also in the dungeon, we were fighting monsters, we're exploring to find new rooms, but we're also finding treasures along the way.
Yes.
Right? So what do we find in those treasure chests?
Either weapons, potions that do stuff, some potions heal, some potions like increase their attack or something, speed.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know for sure, but maybe there's like coins in there. I don't know.
Yeah, there are
maybe.
coins printed on the cards, not as their own item, but you're right, there are coins on the picture sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, right, so there are different kind of weapons that make you stronger, or maybe shields that protect you, right? And potions. Potions are really important. Because you said some of the potions are healing potions, right?
Yes.
Most of the time in this game, there's no way to heal, right?
Unless you have one of the healing characters.
If you have the healing character, Healing Cat, I think, is the only healing character in this version of the game that can heal. So most of the time you can't heal. How does that feel? Do you feel like you're close to dying all of the time, or do you think that that's okay, that you don't really need to heal all the time?
Well, there's one that says 10, and I don't really need to heal all the time because that's my favorite character. But some have like 6 health and they need to heal constantly.
But we can't, right? It's hard to heal in this game. So how do you feel about the difficulty? Is this a hard game? Do you win most of the time? Do you lose most of the time? What do you think?
Well, when I play with most people, we mostly win. But the last time we were like this close to losing.
we were, right? Okay, so then how do you feel about that? Is it too hard? Is it too easy? Is it sort of just right in the middle?
It's not too hard. it's leaning over to do hard, but it's also still got its feet on easy. Yeah.
So you think that's a good challenge level then? Yeah, I think so too. It's not too easy because there's definitely the real challenge of maybe dying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ever feel like it's super hard and you can't win the game, right?
Nope.
So yeah, I think that's good. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about of the game that you think we should talk about?
I was reading through and it says 6+, so it's kind of like for all ages.
It is, absolutely. And it says 6+, but Amato we've played with and he's only 5. And he does a great time. So you're right, it is kind of like for all ages. It works really, really well.
And I also like the creativity of all the monsters. There's like a hedgehog unicorn thing.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
There, I'm looking at the cover and I see a red goblin and a giant this little purple
what's
monster
that crazy
in the
monster,
corner.
But like I said, those were all drawn by kids. And I think this was a Kickstarter originally, during that campaign, they were asking kids to draw pictures. And actually, if we take off this lid, I don't know if you remember, but I think during that campaign, you actually helped out to draw some things. And if we look closely, there's lots of names around there. But if we look right here on the box, it says Wyatt. Who's Wyatt?
Me.
Yeah, you even helped to draw some of the things for this game. I think you drew one of the dungeon tiles, or you drew one of the hazards that got put on the dungeon tile. But it's really, really cool that all of the artwork in here was sourced from kids, that even a kid helped design the game, which is really cool. So it's not just for kids, but it's by kids, which is awesome too, right?
Yeah. I kind of don't know which one I did, because I was like, hold on.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was maybe like 5 or 4 at the time, and I probably drew one of the goofy monsters. maybe this little gremlin right here.
Yeah, could be.
I have no idea which one I did, but whatever one I did probably is really popular.
Oh yeah, is that right?
Hopefully.
Cool. So you think it's a good game?
Yeah,
You'd
great
recommend
game.
for people to try it out?
How much money does this cost?
That I don't remember, but I think it's pretty reasonable. But you'd recommend it for people to try it?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Wyatt.
Bye.
See you next time. Thanks, Wyatt. It sounds like you enjoyed the game quite a bit. And I have to say, I myself enjoy the game quite a bit as well. Now, Wyatt sort of already said a lot of the things that I wanted to say, and I kind of helped him along with that as well. But I want to sort of talk about my thoughts on this game as well as a father of a child who is 5 years old, who also loves this game. My 3-year-old daughter also joins in with us sometimes when we play this game. I've played this game with my son and my nephew and my father all together as a sort of family playing this game. And every time we've played this game, we've had a blast. Just at its heart, it is pure fun. It is pure family engagement, sort of walking through a narrative, very toned back dungeon crawler kind of game. And yeah, this is not a game that a sort of gamery gamer is going to want to play for sort of strategic depth or tactical depth or any of that kind of thing, because that's not really what this game is designed for. This is designed for a bunch of kids or a family with kids to sit down, play through a fun story, sort of fighting off baddies, searching for stuff in a dungeon, exploring through the different sort of ever-growing, ever-expanding dungeon, and just have an enjoyable time together as a group. And in that sort of vein, this game succeeds on all levels for me. Now, there's a couple of little things that I might have concerns with, particularly the difficulty. It could be very easy or very hard depending on how the dice roll. There's very little mitigation for the dice aside from that determined thing, which actually works really well, giving yourself an extra die. So if you sort of fail and feel bad about missing, then the next time you come back stronger, which is cool for kids too, because a negative becomes a positive, and I'm very happy to see that. But mostly, unless you get lucky and find healing potions in the treasure chests, there is almost no healing in this game. The only healing in this game is one character, Healer Cat, has the ability to heal, but even in that case, you're rolling 2 white dice, both of which only have a 1 in 3 chance of success, and then you're healing based on the number of successes. So somewhere between 0 and 2 hit points every other round, with a 2 out of 3 chance of failure on each of those 2 successes or 2 points of healing. So it's very, very tough to heal in this game unless you manage to find a healing potion in the treasure. And I haven't gone through the treasure chest to see how many healing potions there are, but they don't always come out for sure. So know that going into this game, it's not a cakewalk. It's not the ability to sort of slowly go through healing and attacking and healing and attacking. There is definitely threat here. So for very young kids, there might be some worry of difficulty because it's hard to heal. And you really do kind of have to pay attention to positioning and controlling your strategy about how much you want to rush in, but how much you want to hold back. Because this game also has that timer that if you're not exploring regularly, more and more spiders are going to keep spawning in the dungeon. And while they are only 1 hit point, they do hit with 2 dice, a white and a red, if I'm remembering correctly. So they are dangerous, and there are lots of them, and they are pretty quick running around the dungeon. So you do really need to keep pushing forward, but you also do really need to be smart about how you're lining up and how you're sort of progressing and how much risk you're willing to take and how much you're pushing into the enemy or holding back and letting them come to you. But that's actually really a positive in the game, because what that means is for somebody like me who is a gamer playing with younger kids, I still have a good time playing this game because I do still feel like I'm making some decisions in the game. So there is a nice balance of difficult versus easy. But again, for the younger crowd, it might feel a little bit challenging or punishing because of that lack of healing. And for the older crowd, it might feel a little bit easy because there isn't sort of strategic depth, because obviously the enemies are all attacking in the same way every single time. And things don't really switch up as far as the mechanisms are concerned in the game. But again, it doesn't really matter in a game like this because this is more of a fun experience as a family. And the cool thing is, all of these stories, all of the scenarios in this game have very fun narrative. It's very rarely just go in and kill stuff. There's always some kind of adventure happening, and it's usually some kind of misadventure. The 2 characters, Kevin and Annabelle, cause something to happen, and you sort of have to make up for it, or you have to fix things in some way, or you have to go on a sort of errand of some kind for Wizard Pebbledash, who's sort of the master of Kevin and Annabelle. And so the story every time has an interesting sort of goal to it, or a sort of guiding narrative to it. And most of the time they're pretty funny as well, which makes things nice because it's not like trying to get your attention because of very good, like amazing deep storytelling. Instead, it's more fun and fantastical and I don't know what the word is. Interesting is the wrong word. Funny, lighthearted funniness driving you through, and there's lots of little tongue-in-cheek humor and references to things, and I do enjoy the narrative quite a bit. But also, what I do like about the narrative in this game is that, Wyatt already mentioned this a little bit, things get switched up quite a bit. It's not that every quest is fight your way through the dungeon, find the boss, and kill the boss. There are a couple of scenarios like that. But for the most part, each scenario has a unique goal, and the way that they make use of the sort of handful of story tiles in this game is great, because each story can sort of refer to different pictures within that same story tile to tell a different kind of story using the same sort of dungeon tile cards for each of those plays. Now, of course, each scenario uses a different mixture of those cards, but there are only a limited number of them, and they still manage to sort of use them in different ways throughout the game, which is really, really interesting. But also the goals and the things that you're trying to accomplish. There are fetch quests. There are sort of get to all of these locations and do something in all of these locations kinds of quests. There are, as I said, find a bad guy and kill it kind of quests. And they all feel slightly differently, even though the mechanisms aren't really changing all that much. And I say aren't really changing all that much because there are some fun things thrown in there. I mentioned in my discussion with Wyatt that one of the games we played through included a sort of dexterity element where we had to use the dungeon cards and dice to sort of, not dungeon cards, I think the item cards or the treasure cards or something like that, and dice to build up a tower in the game to climb up to the top of a shelf and get some kind of item down. So there's lots of fun little additions that twist things up in unique ways, like in the one I recorded on video where we had to sort of charm the cat in order to get it back to the exit in order to win the game. So there is quite a bit of variability in the sort of way that you interact with the game or the goals that you're trying to achieve in the game. And then also with the difficulty level thing that I mentioned, all of the games have a sort of ending story if you fail as well. So it's not like you fail, game over. It's you fail and the story unfurls this way. So even for a child who's afraid of losing, you're not really losing because the story ends. The story continues. It tells just a slightly different story because you lost the game, and it gives you the ability to go back in and try again and hopefully win the next time. So I'm having a whole lot of fun with this game, and I'm really enjoying how this works with kids. There's lots of simple, but there's lots of interest as well. I want to talk about the characters as well, because each of the characters has a unique ability. And I want to say that each of those abilities definitely feels unique. And more than that, each of those abilities actually feels like it does something meaningful. Like the dwarf who can charge an attack on one move. Like the halfling who can completely negate damage on one turn. I think the sword girl who lets you, I don't remember which one's which. One of them lets you inspire or basically make somebody else get that extra die when they attack. And one of them, I think the sword girl is the one that lets you choose the die face on a die that rolls, which is an instant success once every other turn. The magic girl that I had, the wizard woman, who lets you sort of do splash damage with an attack every other turn. Really, really interesting ways that it twists things up without changing the core mechanisms, but also makes it feel strong and unique, so every kid who chooses a character in this game feels like they are able to do something different that other people can't do, and it gives them some sort of special something as they play each time. And every time they play, they may find a character that they really like and they want to play every time they play. And or they may decide, hey, I want to try this one because that sounds cool, and hey, I want to try this one because that sounds cool. I'm really having a whole lot of fun with this game, especially playing with my kids, playing with my nephew. Every time we're sort of around the same group of people, means my son and my nephew, or potentially my father, who's also a gamer, this one definitely hits the table, and we have a whole lot of fun with it because everybody sort of gets involved. As I've said, even my 3-year-old daughter has jumped in. Now, she did say after 1 or 2 plays that it felt a little bit scary, so she just wanted to sit on my lap and watch, because I think the stress of rolling dice and failing to attack or failing to hit an attack did really get to her a little bit. So maybe too young might not be for you, but the fact is she could sit on my lap and watch us play and sort of watch the story unfold and still have a good time doing so. So it really does pull together gamers of all different ages. I'm having a ton of fun with this. I don't know that there's much more that I can say that Wyatt hasn't already said better than I would. Great, great experience for family gamers who are looking for an approachable, not too easy, not too hard dungeon crawler for families and kids. Definitely check this one out. I also have the expansion for this game. It was also given to me as a review copy with this one. I haven't had a chance to crack into it, but that one apparently ties the scenarios together to make a sort of continuing narrative campaign, throws in new characters, new enemies. I can't wait to dive into that, and when I do, I'll definitely be back with another video. I don't know if you're gonna get another playthrough or just another video of me talking like this, but I'm definitely excited to see what's in there and excited to share what I find with all of you. As always, I hope that this video was helpful for you, and if it was, I do like to ask that you please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.